How are we going to tell the world that Wine Library TV is coming to Revision 3?
I got it. Hello, welcome to Dignation episode number 187. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Alex Albrecht. Dignation covers.
What you gonna do on June 23rd when Gary Vaynerchuk and the Vaniacs run wild on you?
It's too violent. This week's edition of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by GameV.com,
Dr. Pepper and MLB Pro,
GoDaddy.com.
Oscars this year, she wore her dream dress, a Marquesa, which she first spotted on the runway.
I saw it at their show and I said, can I wear that to the Oscars? And they said yes. I felt like I was wearing like an armor of love.
Straight ahead, we've shown you the perfect dress. Now find the perfect handbag to match and how to brighten up summer with the perfect colors.
But first, Elle McPherson goes from supermodel to lingerie designer. What inspired her career move, and what's her favorite piece from the new collection? That's all next.
Is your anti-wrinkle cream?
I have an idea.
No. Here's how you help me. You stay on your side of the room. Let me figure it out over here. Go play over there. Think. Okay, what do we got here? Oh yeah, we got wood. Okay, we got a wall made out of wood.
We got pillows and sheets and a mattress.
Let's put it all together. Add it up. What do we got? What are you doing? Stop it. What are you doing? Shh.
Hold this.
No, that's your shirt. You hold it. I like your energy, but I don't follow you. What?
When a shirt gets wet, it doesn't break.
I don't know what that means. Okay, then what? Oh, with a wet shirt, you bend the bar. That's the payoff. Don't waste my time with that. That's all you got? 2,000-year-old civilization, and that's all you got? Shame on you.
See? Told you so.
No, you said wet shirt don't break, not piss shirt bend bar.
3 rad dudes with nothing better to do get abducted by the crew of the Starship Alpha 2. They're from the planet Q, which, due to a space-time loop, is stuck in 82 and must be rescued. They need our heroes to discuss the latest news and give their reviews of games and movies too. Sure hope you're not confused. We swear this is all true, not just the premise too. The Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 64. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Ganada.
I'm Dude Trachtenberg.
The Totally Rad Show is your weekly dose of all things rad. We head down to the local gym, pump some rad irons, which sounds kind of weird, and then, we come out and take you to the gun show of the rad. The
Nice.
Gun Rad Show.
Hey, welcome back from New York, dude.
Thank you. I can't wait to go to New York in 2 days.
To them, we're back.
This will be out after our meetup, so it was awesome meeting everybody.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Thank
It
you
was like
so much for coming out.
so overwhelming. Speaking of overwhelming, the Dignation show was nuts. I can't even begin. And there were so many Totally Rad Show fans out there, Totally Rad Guild guys. I'm sure
In fact,
we saw them
the guy I want to see if we'll put up the picture. There's a guy at the head of the line evidently had the Totally Rad Show thing on.
Tons of Totally Rad Show merch out there.
I twittered that, and then they twittered back to me, that's me! How cool is that?
I love it.
Background we should talk about.
Yes.
Because we're doing Lego Indiana Jones today.
Yes.
So we got Legos.
From Mr. Pointek.
And you know what's really cool?
What's his first name, Robert?
Robert
Pointek.
Yeah, from Aurora, Illinois.
Illinois.
Home of Wayne's World.
I was just gonna say.
Nice. Well, quicker.
And evidently, there's a program where Lego has the design your own thing, and you use the program to make it, and then you could theoretically buy this exact set.
Oh, it tells you what you need to buy to make it?
No, you just go click, I want to buy that, and it sends you all the pieces that you...
I smell a segment.
Yes.
Did you guys watch?
Dude, I would love a Lego Totally Rad Show logo. Are you kidding me?
Did you guys watch the?
Let it sink in.
Did you guys watch the MTV Movie Awards? Probably not. The only douchebag that does that.
I didn't. I was sort of busy.
I did when I was 15.
Right. It was very
Not
bad.
that there's anything wrong with that.
It was worse than when you were 15. But there was a Wayne they did because Mike Myers
course, Mike
hosted,
Myers,
and Dana Carvey came out, and that was
cool.
actually.
Did anybody in the audience remember it?
Everyone went
Oh, they
nuts.
must have.
But
That's
I know
like-
what you're
Well,
saying.
the reason I wanted to bring up New York at the top was that, like we said, we're doing this after we get back.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, this will come out after we get back. We haven't left yet.
Yes.
So we're going to shoot some stuff in New York, and it'll be in next week's episode.
Right.
Very good.
So tune in for that.
And let's watch the rest of this week's episode right now.
Yeah.
This week in movies, we're talking about You Don't Mess with the Zohan, the new Adam Sandler comedy, and the first big comedy release of the summer. It stars Adam Sandler and a crap ton of peeps.
Everybody.
All the Sandler regulars and many other splendid cameos.
Although that one Sandler guy was not in it.
The
guy from Mama's Boy?
Yeah, the guy who's Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
Who wrote Colbert. Oh wait.
I wouldn't know his name, but
Alan Colbert. He also produces. Anyway.
Norm Macdonald
It's
either.
written by Adam Sandler,
Robert
Smigel, and Judd Apatow, and it's basically about an Israeli badass, essentially superhero soldier who all he really wants to do is cut hair. And in America, so he comes to America, and he's not so much a superhero in America when he first arrives, and hilarity ensues. What do you think about it, Jeff?
Well,
the Zohan.
the Zohan.
Das war's.
I think this movie was going for the record for hummus jokes in one film, and I think they achieved it.
Yeah, and they would have achieved it with one.
Yeah, but they went much farther than that.
Well, they want to set the bar high.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Who knew it was ripe for comedy? This is a very silly movie. It's not a great movie, but I laughed. I laughed quite a lot, and that's, I guess, all you can ask for. I mean, it's ridiculous and dumb.
You can ask for more.
It's dumb, but it's funny dumb. And I had funny dumb in it, during it. I reached funny dumb. That's terrible. This movie felt like I got in a time machine and went back 15 years, 10 years, whenever it was. When was the last big Adam Sandler comedy like this? They didn't.
Not that long.
This is a Happy Gilmore.
Billy Madison.
Billy Madison, and when those movies were coming out and I was in college, they were the funniest thing I could imagine. Everyone quoted them, we all loved him. It was the greatest thing. He was on top of the world, and we thought there was nothing funnier. This is literally all those guys, every single, and Chris Rock's in it, everybody, and it's the same kind of humor. It's that same silly, dumb. Bless you, Steve.
Thank you.
And I laughed. It's not a good movie, but I laughed. What are you gonna do?
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Challenge.
Are you gonna mess with the Zohan?
I'm gonna dance. After that musical interlude, I agree with you, Jeff. I think I liked it a little bit more. It is there are definitely a lot of groaners. Mm-hmm. There are some genuinely laugh out loud funny moments for me.
Yeah.
When when Rob Schneider was dialing the phone to call Hamas, and the guy was telling him the numbers
that was
to
hilarious.
dial.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about the scene now makes me laugh. And the premise, once you get, I thought it started out really not funny, and I will say that the whole beach opening sequence, I was like, oh my God, this is so not the movie that I thought I was going to see. Like, this is not fun. None of this is funny. I get it. Mm-hmm. He's crazy with the I get it. None of it was funny, and then it got really, really, really funny. I mean, the accents are pretty atrocious, and but I laughed a lot. I would see this movie again. This is a movie that I would see again, and I would enjoy it, and I would be like, oh yeah, this is that part I didn't like. Here comes the really funny part.
Long though.
I didn't notice.
No?
I didn't notice.
What do you think, Dan? As the resident Jew.
I actually, yeah. Well, they nailed Israeli peeps and Israeli girls. I mean, everything was. But I
gotta go to Israel then.
yeah.
That was awesome.
Pretty much. I didn't think it was that funny. I'm not really this kind of comedy dude. I am someone who my favorite funny movies are like the funny moments in action movies. You know, like.
I don't know if that qualifies.
I know. But like, I never.
My favorite funny movie is 10 Minutes in Die Hard.
No, like I
It's not
laugh.
a funny movie.
I laugh harder at the funny moments in serious movies than I do at comedies. In general.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really for me to say about it. It just wasn't that funny for me. As far as Adam Sandler movies go, I think I did love. I think you're right. This does belong more in his original outings with Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. I was not into him during the Wedding Singer, that middle phase.
Oh, man,
Little
I love
Nicky and
The
Waterboy.
Yeah, those are bad
Did
movies.
not hit me.
You can even. I love the
but
Wedding
I
Singer.
love.
Oh, the Wedding Singer's good, but Little Nicky and Waterboy.
I love Anger Management was a little bit of a return for me, and then 50 First Dates, while I did not find funny, I thought it was a great movie.
My dad hates Adam Sandler, like, is a thing. He hates Adam Sandler and Will Ferrell. And I said, if you want to see two movies because if you hate who they are as far as like the characters they usually play, I say for Adam Sandler, see 50 First Dates, because it's actually a cute romantic comedy, and I think he and what the fuck is her name? I can't remember. Drew Barrymore have a really good chemistry. And I said, go see Stranger Than Fiction if you want to see Will Ferrell doing something that you.
Well, Punch Drunk Love for me is the Adam Sandler movie.
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that in this movie, for me, the action stuff was really funny. I thought so over the top action stuff. I think that was the best part of it.
Cool.
It was really funny. Yeah, the pain
Hardcore-y.
stuff. I don't feel pain. Why do you do this? I don't feel pain. You don't feel. I don't feel bad. It doesn't matter. I don't feel it.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Deeds. That reminded me of Mr. Deeds, which was the other one that was in that pocket of not so good.
But this one I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the comedy this summer that I thought it was going to be Foot Fist Away. I really did.
Me too.
And now I'm sort of thinking it might be Get Smart. That is the comedy that is this summer, like the comedy.
I think that's the one.
Because last year for me it was Knocked Up.
Oh, I didn't.
There's a lot of smelling fart noises.
That's what made me. I actually had a visceral smell sense of fart when you said that movie. I went.
Okay. Well, we're also going to talk about the X-Files trailer.
Wait, what year is it?
Gotta keep the X.
I know.
The X-Files trailer. So it's playing right now, and this one is directed by Chris Carter, who is the guy who created the X-Files.
Get out of town.
And I assume directed some of the episodes, or maybe did the pilot and the last one or something.
Did
he do the first movie?
I think he's pretty hands-on.
No, he did not do the first movie.
He didn't write it either?
He may have written the first film, but it was directed by Rob Bowman, who's like he did a movie we did not like, The Reign of Fire, but he also did Airborne, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think he's a really cool director.
Airborne.
Even though he's made some pretty much not.
Reign of Fire is Dragons vs. Tanks.
Yes.
The best premise ever. How do you screw up dragons versus tanks?
It can happen.
Okay, but anyway, Chris Carter and X-Files movie. I'm not an X-Files guy. You guys were X-Files dudes?
I was a big X-Files fan.
All right, well, what did you think of the trailer?
I think the trailer looked cool. I think it's a little done.
Okay, fine.
I think it's a little done. I mean, like the trailer looked cool. Like if it was a movie with a different name and different people, it would be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what this is gonna be about. The music stuff didn't do, I think, in my gut. You know how, like, do you remember when you heard the Star Wars theme for it hit you.
Yeah.
It hit you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And given that was many years later, but I feel like with this, that's what they wanted
This is
it
many
to
years
do.
later.
Well, but not
10.
20 or whatever. Well, that's a lot. All right, it's a lot of years. But that's what they wanted, I think, at the end of that trailer was that, like, to get people with goosebumps and stuff. It just feels like,
it's too late.
why?
It's been X years later. What do you think?
Oh, very good.
I have a problem with Billy Connolly, who is featured heavily in this. Because when I was a kid,
I love Billy Connolly.
Listen, when I was a kid, my dad loved his stand-up comedy and would quote him all the time. And I watched his stand-up comedy, and it was a little blue for a kid, but it was still very funny. So I have a very difficult time seeing him in any serious roles. I had that problem in Boondock Saints. I have it here. I look at him and I do not buy that he's anybody other than I swear I'll never drink again as usual. That guy. I mean, or the skiing story. I know all his routines by heart. I mean,
For me, that guy will always be head of the class. guy who took over.
The second head of the class.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's where that's the first time I ever saw him. And I was like, really?
You know, as I said, I'm not an X-Files guy. Although I will say, there was a period where my favorite hour of television was an X-Files episode, one of the few that I've seen that was shot on video, and it was like a cops episode.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
Mind blowing. This was, later on in life, I come to love this style of filmmaking, and that was it before, you know.
Yeah, it was like, what's his guy, Cloverfield.
Right, sure, yeah. Anyway, I will say this is a terrible. I found this to be a very terrible trailer because it like showed. You know, normally like they show. First of all, there's no badass moment. There's no thrilling moment.
There's a lot of yelling.
I thought the Fringe trailer looked like a great movie coming out, and this looked like a mediocre TV show coming out. And and not only that, but they literally, instead of showing cool moments, they like had things interjected between the same snow men among snow moment. Oh, it was like that same moment over. So how
like,
cool
clearly
is this
that's got to be the end moment.
Well, like
either that or
the only cool thing
either that or they're only showing us the first 20 minutes of the movie, which
well,
I like
show
if
us
that's
the
the
first,
truth.
Show us the first cool 20 minutes, not like.
Well, there's only one first 20 minutes.
No, I mean, show the cool parts of the first 20 minutes.
Maybe
saying words in the right order helps.
We rocking out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I've.
Yeah, you made good points.
You made good points.
So let's end it.
Jeff,
you made good points. We should move on.
You too.
Oh,
good
thanks,
points.
Alex. How did you?
I was here.
All right, the video game we're going to be talking about this week is Lego Indiana Jones. It's the second Lego Lucasfilm title. The first one was a game that was clearly based on my diary entries as a child, combining Legos and Star Wars. And it was the quirky, kind of fun adventure title that was an homage to the Star Wars titles, also making fun of them at the same time. And you get to play through all of the episodes. And this is the same kind of thing. You get to play through all the episodes of Indiana Jones, and it's kind of classic.
All the good ones.
Wow, look at you. Look at you with your hate. Anyway, so it's a classic kind of action platformy game. You beat 'em up and a lot of puzzle solving and collecting what they call studs, I think, are the single digit Legos. And everything in the world is made out of Lego bricks. So there's a lot of destroying, breaking things into stud.
Yeah, the fact that you know that means you're a really Lego guy.
Yeah, well, yes.
We heard your mom's story about Legos.
Are you really like having sex with male horses? Whoa, I'm the only guy laughing at that?
Yes, you
I didn't quite get it. I was like, Lego horses?
I was hoping you were going to help me out on that because I looked over at you like, did he? What did he?
I guess he was.
Okay, so we're talking about Lego Indiana Jones.
I can't wait to see what Steve puts up.
And it is out on every conceivable platform. I actually don't even know what platforms you played it. I know you played it on the PSP, right?
Correct.
What did you play it on?
3.6.
Oh, really?
3.6.0.
Nice. What did you play it on?
I played it on the DS and the PSP.
Interesting.
So let's hear what you have to say about it on the 360.
All right.
Because I mean, sport. We'll do that.
Full res.
Mr. Big and his britches over there having sex with horses all of a sudden.
Oh boy. So I know what Steve just did. Okay. I thoroughly enjoyed playing. I actually played half of my time playing the game. I played with my girlfriend, co-op, Double Dragon style.
Ooh, I was just about to ask about that.
Yeah, very fun. The joy of these games, I think, is seeing how they interpret the story in Legos.
Right.
So the cut scenes, and they're very funny, and you're mostly telling they're mostly doing it shot for shot, and then there's additions.
But there's tons of little inside jokes along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see how they gets transposed into Lego. So how are they going to do his whip and the whip holder, and the later in Raiders when like the thing falls into the wall, like the wall's made of Lego. Like that's a very obvious one, but like it's just it's fun to see what gets converted into Legos and how it looks and how it works within the world. I have to say the puzzle solving was really fun. I found the puzzles to be just the perfect amount of challenge and without being too hard or too easy. So that was fun. The difficult thing, I think, was navigation. Like because it's not a flat platformer, and
Right.
it's not 3D where you completely see around. So, like the angle at which you hold the joy when you need to
It's a
jump.
fixed camera, even on the 360, fixed camera,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
So you're.
But the camera's moving.
Little
I mean,
bit.
it's a fixed camera that rotates at certain points. It's
Oh,
like
right,
Resident
but
Evil.
yeah, it's like
Well, no, it's not like
each
Resident
Evil.
each stage you walk into is from a fixed point.
No. Like
and
you
then,
can jump and it'll turn.
Right,
Maybe
right.
that's on the
A
PSP.
little bit. It it follows you around on the screen. But so when something is on like
you don't have any control over the
a
camera.
3/4 angle, you can't usually use your shadow to sort of measure where you land. I found that to be a little difficult. There wasn't it wasn't an easy the angle something wasn't right there. But other than that,
Did your girlfriend have fun playing it?
she was very, because of what I just said. She was extremely frustrated, and I could adapt to it better because I'm a proficient video gamer, and she does not play as much. So she was upset and yelling at me like it was my fault for some reason. But then we finished playing, and then she was like, "That was really fun. I want to play it again." I was like, "Well, so stop yelling at me."
Too much information.
But
That's actually a really big point because these games are clearly designed for the non-gamer set as well as the gamer set.
You're right.
They're very entry-level games. So
And
that's
especially based on movies that
point.
have such a wide audience.
I too had a blast from beginning to end, though my end was when the plane landed. Yeah, I had a great time. It was so funny to see. I mean, it's just it's funny. It's like nostalgia and humor. Did you guys see? On the escape with Marion in the mountains? Did you guys find Luke?
Yes,
In the cave?
Evidently, there's
Oh.
even playable Han. You
Oh,
can
that's
get him
funny.
as playable characters, and a lot of Star Wars.
I fell down this
stuff.
one place and I saw this what I thought was a cave, and then I realized it was like you couldn't walk through it.
yeah,
and then I looked,
saw that. I was
you
like, why-
shoot the.
and the guy is hanging. Luke is feet under
Yeah.
in his outfit.
Oh, I saw that,
hanging in
but
the
I
Hoth cave.
Yeah.
didn't click. Yeah.
Anyway, so I had a blast. I thought it was great. I did think like, oh, how is the co-op gonna go? You know what I mean? Like, although I did find a sort of semi-game ending glitch for me because as we were sort of landing, I was in the last thing on the arc where you're jumping from truck to truck.
Yes.
I got to the
a
arc
cool
truck.
sequence.
It is. I got to the arc truck, and the guy was just coming out of the cabin, and I killed him, and it wouldn't let me get in the truck. Like that. 'Cause I think it just was like the script in the programming to get the guy out of the truck started, and the next line was, if killed, press triangle to get in.
Yeah.
And I killed the guy too fast. The program didn't run that list a little bit, so then I
funny.
turned it off, and I was going to reboot it, and then we landed. But yeah, I had a great time. It was like super, super fun, and I thought about that, like doing if they had Wi-Fi co-op on the PSPs, would be freaking super fun.
I mean, even in single player, you have to play. You're still
No, I
playing
know.
two
Yeah,
players.
Yeah, I know, but that's what.
If the other person you're playing with is good, you
Yeah.
know, it really makes it.
Well, even not. I
no
mean,
offense.
that's the good. Oh, I mean, that's a good thing about this game too, is that you can kind of die as much as. I mean, it's like one of those.
Yeah.
Totally. I love
Which
that.
I love that.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because
What'd you think, Jeff?
we're old.
What'd you think?
I had a great time too. I mean, there's a few frustrations in the sense that there's so much of the game is based on collecting. I really longed for a sort of Ratchet and Clank-esque things get sucked to me rather than me having to run around and collect all the stuff.
That's interesting, yeah.
But I had a really interesting experience with this game. I sort of think of these games, maybe it's because I played the Star Wars one on my DS. I kind of think of these games as portable games. And I played several levels on the DS and then played it on the PSP. And oh my God, it's a completely different game. Completely different game.
Well,
to like on the
I
DS.
hated Lego Star Wars on the DS. I bought it for the DS, and I was like, why does everybody think this is a good game? This is horrible. Graphics
I played
are
Lego
horrible.
Star Wars on 360.
Yeah, I think
Right, no,
maybe
I know,
we should.
but-
I think maybe I should have played it on 360. It's a completely different game. It's fun on the DS. There's lots of touchscreen stuff. Every time you use your whip, you do the thing on the whip. There's a lot of blowing. You blow candles out. You blow things, make them roll.
That's
The puzzles are different.
I might
and-
enjoy it if there's a lot of blowing.
Well, you do the blowing.
Hey,
Oh.
our stud came back.
Oh man. But also playing on the DS, and literally set down the DS, picked up the PSP, and not PCP, I didn't pick that up. Picked up the PSP, turned it on, and went, oh my God, the graphics are incredible.
Yeah, I know.
It looks like Legos.
I know.
And I love my DS. Don't get me wrong, but
I'm kind of become a PSP fan.
yeah, right. I mean,
PSP
this is
amazing.
all new for all of us because we
Yeah.
just got PSPs. But
Yeah.
I was shocked at the difference. It's a completely different game.
I'd like to see it. I want you guys to see
My
what it looks
PSP
like on
is
360. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's a fun game, and like you said, the joy is the jokes.
Yeah,
The
it's the
joy is the
nostalgia,
gags
yeah.
and like all the little wink references and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the other topic I wanted to talk about, so the big news this week was Itagaki-san from Tecmo. Yes. The big kind of rock star game developer who is behind the Dead or Alive series and the Ninja Gaiden series, quitting and suing Tecmo.
Whoa, suing?
Yes.
Holy crap,
For like
balls.
$1.4 million, or its
Nice.
equivalent in yen, basically.
That's a lot of yen.
Yeah. And so, you know, I don't really want to talk about that because it is what it is, whatever.
Well, what
But
does he say? Why does he say?
It's like
without getting
contractual stuff. They didn't pay him his bonus or whatever.
Yeah.
But basically, what it means is that the next Ninja Gaiden and the next DOA will have nothing to do with him. You know, he'll have nothing to do with them. They're still being made, but he's not going to have anything to do with them.
Yeah.
So, my question to you guys is: I think it's interesting how we're sort of getting to this era in video games where designers are having sort of name cachet. You're seeing
Yeah.
it with Cliff Bleszinski, you're seeing it with Hideo Kojima. You know, these
Right.
big, yeah, exactly, these big name developers. Do you think that, I'd like to compare that to, you know, big directors, big writers, big actors in movies, and do you think that's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? What are your feelings about if you see someone's name on something, are you more likely to be excited about it?
Well, I'll start.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, it's cool that I know I can connect, like, you know, Cliff Bleszinski with Gears of War.
Right.
Right. What has he done before? No fucking idea. Had I heard about him before? He was really the big, you know, cheerleader for Gears of War? No.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, will I buy the next Cliff Bleszinski game if I think it's going to be a fun game?
Right.
But I mean, you know, if I see a trailer for a game and I don't like it and it's got his name on it, it's not like a Spielberg movie where I go, maybe this is a bad trailer.
Now, why do you think that is? I'm curious because I think that's fascinating that it's basically the same type of thing where the next Spielberg movie, even if the trailer's not good, you'll be like, well, it's Steven Spielberg, I gotta go see it.
I guess I feel like the director of a movie has so much more control over the outcome of the product than a game designer. And maybe that's just my ignorance in how a game gets made because I don't really know.
Yeah.
But to me, I kind of think of it as like, I've got this idea for a game, I'd like it to kind of look like this, and then people go and create the art behind it, and you go, yeah, that, not that, not that, yeah.
It's kind of what a director does in a movie.
Well, but a director actually looks in the lens, sees the shot, and goes, no, I don't like it. Is directing, I mean, I don't think, you know, Cliff Bleszinski was in during the voiceover booth.
He may
stuff.
have been.
He may have.
Right, yeah,
I
right.
don't, and so, I mean, like, I don't think.
But that's
so.
what's interesting. That to me was what's interesting is how we as the consumers think about things like that.
Exactly.
Because I think clearly they are trying to create these rock stars. They are trying to create these personalities that we follow.
What do you think?
Yeah, Danny, what's your?
Well, first of all, let me say specifically about Ninja Gaiden, and I don't have a lot of fan ties
Right.
to both those properties, so doesn't affect me. But in general, the sentiment, let me just say, you could get, if you are a fan, you could get. What's a bad a sequel that was you could get Batman Forever,
right?
Or you could get Batman Begins with a new director,
right?
So with a new game maker for you guys that are. But what are other game guys like? Because I mean, I remember loving God of War so much that when I heard that David Jaffe was making that, even that silly PlayStation game, I was stoked.
Yeah.
Because I felt that
Calling All Cars is what.
Calling All Cars.
Yeah.
I thought God of War was so uniquely good in a genre that had similar things. There's so many games that are similar to it, yet this stood out. So
yet God of War 2, he had very little to do with, and it still was a pretty darn good game.
It was a pretty good, although I didn't complete that game, and I did complete the first one. But I mean, that's Your
mindset.
Are there
or his
other? What are
design,
some
I'm just
other
saying.
big? I mean, you mentioned Will Wright, but what are some other huge names that have done hit after hit after hit?
Miyamoto-san from all the Mario games.
Yeah.
You're putting me on the spot with coming up with just random,
Sorry.
but
God, that doesn't matter.
Not like
Ken
Metal
Levine,
Gear.
like what the idea of
Where's
Ken
Levine?
Levine doing BioShock.
And what before it?
Oh God, he did. I think he had something to do with System Shock.
I would agree with that.
I'm pretty sure.
I would agree
But you know, the idea of doing Bioshock 2, and supposedly there was a lot of controversy. Is he going to be involved in that? Is he not going to be involved in that? You know,
I think time. I have to answer that in more. Like I think with directors, you see Jaws and you see E.T. and you see Raiders of the Lost Ark. Of course, we're naming the one director where everyone actually knows that director's name.
Right.
Michael Bay. We know his name. My dad probably doesn't know that Michael Bay makes, but we're talking about a director that, you're talking about, like, he made one genre movie amazing, and he made a different genre movie amazing. And so, we haven't had...
There hasn't been a history enough.
Yeah, there has been enough history to really follow those guys. Miyamoto, like, he did Zelda and Mario, and it's kind of like... those games are those games are their own, I don't know. I mean... I guess that guy. There's just not enough auteurs.
But I think that's what they're trying. I mean, I think these guys are trying to step
down.
out. I mean,
like
Itagaki is a guy who like intentionally created a personality for himself. Like donned a leather jacket and shades and said, "I'm a rock star."
I think that's cool.
I kind of do too. And
I don't know if that's going to break past the people sitting on chairs talking about video game industry and get to the people who go out and go, "Oh, that looks cool," and buys it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the stuff
I agree,
that's
but I
gonna
mean,
take a while.
The same thing with what they do with movies from, not a lot of people past our industry or our hardcore fandom of movies know the name Brett Ratner, but they say when Red Dragon came out, it was like from the director of Rush Hour.
Yeah,
People,
right.
I liked Rush Hour.
Yeah.
I'll go see Red Dragon.
But I think an interesting comparison would be Will Wright to Steven Spielberg. I think that's the kind of equivalent. Because anything Will Wright puts out, I'll play.
Well, speaking of which, I'm doing that the Spore like celebrity first run beta thing where I make a character and
Can't
then
wait
people
for
vote on
Spore.
it.
I'm so excited.
Oh, see.
All right, dudes.
Hey, hurry! I'm falling.
All right, we're back with another comic book segment. And the trade that we're going to talk about this week is from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. It's called Criminal. And it is a noirish crime series that, much like Frank Miller's Sin City, is sort of a rotating main character. It's not the same main character every time, but it's a group of people that all exist in sort of the same universe, and we get different stories in each arc that take place in the same universe and sort of peripherally connected. So the first trade, the one we're talking about, is called Coward, and it's about Leo Patterson, who's sort of a second-generation pickpocket thief who gets in on a big score, and lots of stuff goes wrong. And it plays out a lot like a Tarantino movie or like David Mamet movie. It's very grounded in reality. There's it's the same team, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, did a book called Sleeper, which was a really awesome crime book also. But it had this superhero angle. This is the same type of thing, but take away any kind of superhero stuff. It's really gritty and real. Alex, you had a chance to read Coward.
Yes, I did.
And there were no capes and there were no cowls.
It's interesting. This is a book, because I'm not a big fan of
segment where we don't say
capes and cows. The
It's so
answer
fun
is
to say.
no, sir. This is one of those books that I picked up and I was like, oh, no superheroes. Okay. I get it.
You didn't have to lick it.
I really like. Oh, I'm sorry. You may not want to lick yours then, because it's got covered with my saliva. I actually really enjoyed it. It was interesting to me because it felt a lot like Unbreakable, because and maybe it's because I'm a capes and cowl guy. I think what clicked in my head was, here's a guy whose superpower is he can run away from any situation and won't get caught.
He's the coward.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, oh, what if that is literally a superhero? That is his superpower. He is, it's the same thing where it's like, well, he gets kind of like tricked into using his powers in a negative way, but it's like, still comes back, It's like, it just was very cool. So I had that sort of like, I was looking at it through that sort of lens, and I kind of enjoyed the whole sort of like, I mean, it's just like, it's got all the same stuff that a superhero story does, you know what I mean? The sort of like, the secret identity, the having to take care.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it.
The secret lair, which then gets, somebody finds out what it is, so he's got to, move his secret lair, somebody finds out his secret identity, and then can attack the people he loves, and it's like, it's very much, and then he's like gloves off, superhero time. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you say that because I think Brubaker was intentionally really trying to go away from the superhero stuff, but it's funny that those tropes are still sort of in there. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it because it was like, it was like Unbreakable if the superpower was he could run away from any situation and was a small-time thief.
What do you think, Dan? Because this is clearly a book that's begging to be a movie, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
And you love movies.
I love movies.
So don't you like books that try to be movies?
And you love beggars.
It's my favorite faves kind of
comic
book.
Try to stay with us.
Yes, and I read Sleeper, and I think this is much better than Sleeper.
I agree.
And I also read Brubaker's The Daredevil Underboss that you gave me 500 years ago.
Underboss is Bendis. Brubaker took over from Bendis.
You are right. Well, I love Bendis, but I didn't like Underboss. But anyway, at Brubaker.
Brubaker's doing did Gotham Central. He's doing Uncanny X-Men.
Okay.
He's
cool.
Star.
What did you think of the book?
But Criminal. Yeah, no. Like I said, I loved it. Loved it. It's a great crime book. Speaking of Bendis, my other favorite crime book, Jinx. This is almost as good as that. And it's just a pleasure to read. It's setups and payoffs that aren't hokey and real. It handles exposition really well.
Yeah.
And did you read the second Criminal book?
I bought it, didn't read it, saving it for our little trip to Doodles.
It's also good.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm milking it right now because I just loved it.
Yeah, I love it too. It's great writing. It's a self-contained, awesome story that has dips and turns and things you don't see coming.
And what you want to say also?
What do I want to say?
It's about something.
It is about something. Yeah.
Heroin.
Yeah. It's a great book. I recommend this. This is, I think, one of the most common questions we get via email is, watched your show, I want to get back into comics, what should I read? Well, I would say 99% of the stuff we talk about on the show is great for getting back into comics.
Especially because I was not in comics, and these are the things that have brought me now to be a person who goes to the comic book store and buys comics.
Which makes me so proud.
It's amazing.
But yeah, so that's the sort of the thesis statement of our comic book section is that. But these particularly are great. Even if you're not into superheroes, they're great. It's like reading a great crime novel. It's like reading a kind of a mystery or a thriller.
It's almost like a crime nugget.
But it's my favorite kind of story. All of my favorite stuff is like this. Preacher is like this. Whatever. Jinx, Pride and Joy, because it's on one level you can be a 15-year-old kid and be like, badass. He shot that guy. It's awesome. It's like No Country for Old Men. On one level, it's fucking badass.
Yeah.
On the other level, it's tugging at things and it's saying something about the way we operate.
Heartstrings.
Yeah, Dan likes tugging at things.
Things.
This guy likes to blow, Dan likes to tug at things. Okay, so another book, I've been trying to kind of work a little bit more in the monthly floppy issues as these segments go on too. And one of the books that just started, it's been a long time in development, is a book called 1985, and it's by Mark Millar, or Miller, I don't know how he pronounces it to be honest, and Tommy Lee, what's his name? Tommy Lee
Jones?
Edwards, Tommy Lee Edwards.
What has he done previous? I'm just kidding.
He's done actually a lot of work for movies, but he also did.
That's interesting.
I want to say Hellblazer, but I could be wrong. Anyway, it's a book that originally Mark Millar wanted to do as a photo comic, so that all the images were still photography with actors and people in costume as superheroes, which fascinates me. But they didn't end up doing that.
Is there anything that does that? Has that ever been done before?
Well, no one's ever done it.
I know Jinx does it and then fucks it with it.
Yeah, nobody's ever done it as a superhero I mean, a lot of Alex Ross stuff looks like that because he paints it kind of true to life, but they've never really been a mainstream from the big two that's done that. Anyway, so it's something that was supposed to come out on the 20th anniversary of 1985, which would be 2005, but it's been a long time in development, and it's the story of now real life where comics, superheroes are in comics and superheroes. The Marvel Universe exists as a book, not as a world.
In 1985.
In 1985, takes place in 1985. And a young boy finds a house in the woods where all the superheroes he reads about in a comic book actually are. So this is only the first issue of a limited series, so we don't know where the story goes, but I thought it was an interesting one because it's something you could run down to the comic book store right now and buy and get in and read on a monthly basis. And I find it to be an oddly intriguing premise, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up. And it seems like something you might like. I know you don't like superheroes most of the time, but it's got that kid element that you dig. It's got that.
Well, the cover, it looks as if it's Goonies or Monster Squad if One-Eyed Willie or the Universal Monsters were superheroes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I love this. This is obviously Mark Millar had the same childhood that we had and many of you had.
Yeah. He said he wrote it because he was 14 in 1985, and that's when he was at his height with comic books.
Yeah. And what you just said, the premise is it's handled way cooler than that.
Well,
I
I
think.
don't talk very cool.
Well, no, I like it's not because there's steps of evolution, and he doesn't automatically assume, oh my God, they're superheroes. Like like Elliot automatically knows this is an alien, not like a monster or whatever. And movies, that's a contrivance that many movies or stories take, and this doesn't do that, and I like that a lot. That's one of the only things I liked about the exposition because. I actually think the writing was terrible.
Really?
This is my least favorite comic book. Everything is exposition. Every word, hey, Tommy from down the street, are you going to go... It's not actually that, but it's equivalent to that. It is just everything...
It's
nothing,
like on the nose.
Nothing is how people speak to each other, like criminal. It's just... People are saying things to get the plot across. Hated that, but soon as this premise kicks into high gear, for me... I was like hating it, and then by the end of the book, I was like, I can't wait to the next issue for merely the premise and the idea.
Yeah.
And I will also say I thought the art sucked, except for when there were like just two characters on screen. There's a few frames where it was on screen, in frame.
Incapable of not thinking of it as a movie.
There's a few frames, and there's one wide, splash page with the house, and I was like, it was very inconsistent to me. A lot of times it was very messy and hard to really see, and I really
Like
wanted
scalped
to,
a little.
a little bit like
Scalped
Scout
was
but-
even worse for me.
Yeah,
What
but
did you
Scout
think?
was worse.
I didn't have. It's funny to me because I felt the same thing of like, oh, the words aren't all that good, but I didn't understand why I felt that. I just had a tingling. Something was
word
tugging
tingling.
on me. And so, Mr. Eloquent Bot over here put words into form of words, and
Better words or
better words than I am forming, as people are hearing. I really didn't understand why it needed to be in 1985. That to me was like, it almost felt like that 80s show, where like that 70s show was a show that was about people that happened to be in the 70s, and that 80s show was like about people that are making references to the fact that they're in the 80s. And I felt like there were a couple moments with like, they're like, ooh, you bought a brand new Cadillac Eldorado. And it's like, insert any car from the 80s reference, like that stuff could have been totally avoided and then we still would have felt we were in the 80s. But that said, I didn't get the inconsistent drawing thing that you did. I love the premise. The premise is amazing. I mean, it's just like...
I like it too, and I think that a lot of my tie to it is that those years, those mid 80s, were when I was right into comics.
But not only that, not just you or I even at the time, but wasn't the 80s the second coming of like there was the 60s and
like
the 80s
John
was now it's
Byrne
coming
and
back.
Walt Simonson, and it's like these like the next generation of, it was before the sort of image guys and art was the thing. It was more like these writer artists.
But weren't they? It's like wrestling had its like, and then the comics is now, or maybe now it's on an upswing. But I think the 80s was. There was a peak and then valley, and the 80s was the other peak. So I think that's a choice to make it 85.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I know we another book that I recommend a lot when people write in and say, what book should I read, is Why the Last Man. And it's like Preacher that we always talk about being amazing. This is a book that has a start and a finish, and I just finished it. I've been putting it off for a long time. And I know you finished it and you wanted to say something about it, right?
Well, you say, I don't remember a frickin' thing when I read it.
Very memorable book, though.
Huh.
But what I remember is the feeling. And I definitely welled up with emotion. I knew I couldn't talk about it with you, so I signed on to Xbox Live. There's these Chess Dog and Dubber who I play Burnout at the time with, and I literally signed on. I made them sign out of their games, and I talked to them at 2 a.m. for like 30 minutes just about, so that's the feeling it gave me. Tell me what you, remind me, or we can't.
Well, we're not going to talk about it too much, but it's definitely a book if you're, another book that's not really superhero-y. It's about all the men die, and there's only one man left, and it's a 60-issue kind of epic. And the end, I found to be a little bit disappointing. The very last issue. Some stuff happens in the issues leading up to it that are pretty interesting. I thought the explanation of why was a little weak, and I thought that the very, very last issue.
But there's not one explanation of why. There's three possible things that happened.
That's what I thought was
told
weak.
you throughout the journey.
Yeah.
And they already. So
anyway, definitely worth reading. And I know it wasn't really your bag.
I didn't like it, but it's clearly a big thing that people like. So don't take my word for it. But if you don't like it, told you.
Rock on.
All right, well, before we sign our farewells and read a viewer email, let's thank our sponsors. GameV.com has just announced that they are now rocking gameplay footage in high definition.
Finally, that's awesome.
Gameplay, high definition, makes perfect sense.
Gotta be.
Not only that, they increased the file size of your upload to 500 megabytes.
Cool.
And they can take all kinds of formats, just whatever format you want, shove it down the pipe, and it'll be awesome. Plus, they figured out a way to get it so that playing high-definition movie streaming is now even a little bit faster than playing the old standard definition movies.
How is that possible?
That's crazy.
Science.
How is that possible?
Science. They took scientists and locked them in the closet. So head over to GameV.com, sign up for an account, check out some awesome gameplay footage. My user account is GameV.com/user/Alex Albrecht.
And mine's Jeff Canada.
No, Jeff TRS.
Jeff TRS?
TRS.
Mine's probably Dan TRS.
I think that's what it is. We will put those up here. Thank you, Steve. And thank you, GameV.com.
You know what else? Other sponsor we have is Dr. Pepper. These guys, talk about scientists, have figured out how to make 23 flavors into one bold taste.
Are you kidding me? When did that happen?
It's chock full of flavor taste.
I do have to say, just on a personal side note, and my mom will attest to this.
Your mom.
As you've met. Thank you, Jeff. I used to drink Dr. Pepper and eat string cheese for breakfast every morning when I was in college. And I loved it. Been to the Dr. Pepper bottling plant.
That's amazing.
Love Dr. Pepper.
Has your mom ever dumped Dr. Pepper on your head?
Just milk.
Anyway, so maybe you remember a few weeks ago we talked about how Dr. Pepper was sponsoring our show and sending us down to the MLG Major League Gaming event in San Diego. Well, that's happening. It's happening this coming weekend. If you're watching this, it's this coming weekend. Wow, that's a lot of stuff we're going to be doing. And
I just came back from New York.
We have been challenged by Straight Rippin'.
Which is sponsored by Dr. Pepper
also.
It's like Dr. Pepper's team.
Yeah, and they're a 4-member team, and we're a 4-member team, but one of our members has to be rolling the camera.
Yeah.
So we need a ringer. We found one. We had a contest.
Yes.
You submitted your name. We found one. It's Kevin?
Yeah.
Chuba.
Yes.
Which
Amazing
evidently
name.
might be the ultimate ringer because he's actually a competitive gamer.
He's an ex-professional gamer.
So we will be holding him back in every way possible.
We are going to be the albatross around his neck.
Absolutely. 3 giant albatrosses.
We will be his manclus of failure. It's a fail clip.
So anyway, Dr. Pepper, I'm also supposed to say they have Ultimate Gaming House, drpepperultimategaminghouse.com.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can compete to then enter to win a
trip down there to their Ultimate Gaming House, which I assume has tons of LCD displays and etc.
Love you, Dr. Pepper.
We do.
Danzig.
Hey, Alistair.
Yes, Dan.
Don't say.
Yes, Alanis.
Where would you go if you wanted to, make a website.
Maybe
Dude,
GoDaddy.com.
The rhetorical question is my move. You're stealing my move.
But I'm asking Alistair an actual question.
And I'm answering as Alistair's proxy because he's sick.
Yes, sir.
GoDaddy.com.
Interesting. And
Interesting.
if you wanted to make a website, you wanted to buy a domain, how low do you think you could go?
I could probably get a domain for about $27.
No, sir. $1.99.
$1.99? That's so many less dollars.
$1.99 out of your mind?
How much for just one letter of the domain? I was gonna do that as
How
Chris
much
Rock.
for one reel?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, GoDaddy, is a
.com.
website that you can go to purchase domains and to make websites for as low as $1.99. But to get that plan,
No,
or
just
deal-
10% off your order, right?
Oh, to get 10% off your order. Thanks,
Prompter.
Jeff.
Zing.
If you want to get 10% off whatever your order that is placed on GoDaddy.com, you put in the promo code TRS1.
All right, now that we've talked about
Very
sponsors
nice.
for an hour and a half.
The loneliest number.
Let's
move on.
Let's head up to our email of the day. Hey, Alex, Dan, Jeff, and Steve. I am currently working in Toronto, and I have 2.5. And the 2.5 weeks I'll be spending here is the longest I've been away from home. Let it happen. One of the things that makes me feel at home, or at the very least, that things are back to normal, is watching TRS. I saw that jiggle. I thought it was good. That's amazing. I've started at the beginning again, watched a couple of episodes every evening, and laughing along with you guys and disagreeing with everything Alex says. Totally makes me feel better. Interesting. I did that on purpose.
You just got played.
Thank you guys for the awesome shows and helping me cope with all the stress and homesickness of being in the big city. Question. What is the longest you've ever been away from home? Joel from Halifax, which is also an area in Canada.
It's an interesting question because it sort of requires you to define what home is.
I was just about to say. Got him.
Home
I
is
think it's where
the heart is? What? Lapsao?
No chop sounds. No chop sounds. No chop sounds. No chop sounds.
no one knows how funny that is.
No
unless
chops
you're
out, no
us.
chops.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that is great.
It is. No, it is true. When I first read this email, I was like, I guess college or
Yeah, but then that
now?
became your home, kind of, right?
Yeah, it did. So I think for me, I will go back to the days of yore when I was a wee
days of
little
mine.
kid at Burgundy Farm Country Day School in the outskirts of Virginia.
Well,
We had a sleepaway camp.
this is like a place you would churn butter.
We did that. I do not lie. But we had a little sleepaway camp called Cooper's Cove, which I think was in West Virginia, but I'm not sure. It was so much fun, but basically it was like a school away from school. That doesn't sound fun at all. it was like
Yeah,
a
you get
place
to go away from school
and
to
learn.
school.
No, it's true, because like we would go for a certain period of time. Like, when you're in elementary school, you'd go for the day, and when you started getting bigger and bigger, you would go for like the weekend, or go for like 2 weeks, or like a weekend. Higher and higher. You get older. The longest time I went, I think I went for like the beginning of a weekend, like a Friday to the next Monday, so like a week, a weekend, a week, and a weekend. And that was the longest, and it is tough. I mean, when you're a kid, especially, not being near your home can kind of fuck with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's because there's always that thing of like, what am I gonna do? Is it all gonna be okay? I mean, I don't know if it's just like anxiety or just nerves or whatever, but I always remember, I was a big not fan of the dark. And I'm still not really keen on Pitch Black. Do you know what I mean?
It was a terrible movie.
Well, but I love Pitch Black.
I didn't mean it that way.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys are cool with like Pitch Black, where like you really can't see anything.
That kind of messes with you.
Dude, me and Pitch Black are boys.
Really?
Because you asked if we were cool with it.
Man,
today's my episode.
You are killing it. You are killing it.
Steve is going to put in so many record scratches.
The record scratch is going to have a record scratch. Anyway, so for me, a lot of my anxiety came from I didn't know how my sleeping situation was going to be.
Yeah.
So like I always had to have a flashlight to make sure that if like, okay, in case it's something, because I did go and spend the night at one of my friends' houses, and he like had to sleep listening to music and in Pitch Black, which are two things I do not do. Anyway,
like
that was
another
awesome.
question.
How about you?
I have to go to sleep with like the TV on
Can't.
or whatever.
I can't.
Yeah.
Me
Zero
neither.
sound.
I
Zero
can't have
sound.
sound.
Well, we're not.
Any sound I
we're
got,
not
don't
bunking in the
sleep.
same room. In the.
Dude, I know. Remember you used to have the TV on in
Yeah,
London,
yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
turn the fucking TV off. I'm sleeping.
Yeah, we did find out that.
Of course, now would be the longest I've been away from home. But going back to childhood,
But this is your home now.
I went
That's
right
too big
exactly.
for your home.
I know. Well, so yeah. So I'd have to also say camp. The first sleepaway camp I went to was Camp Harlem, which is the same sleepaway camp that Seth Green went to.
Oh.
No,
Not in Harlem?
Harlem Jew sleepaway camp. Not like.
We're the Globetrotters.
So yeah, I actually went home early because I was I hated camp. I was not. I don't
camp.
like swimming. I didn't like sports. Can you tell? So that was never fun to me. So, but I did go back to a sleepaway camp in Virginia, actually, Blue Star.
Oh yeah.
Also a Jewish camp, if you didn't put that together. And that I had a much better time.
Good.
Do you know that in Virginia?
No.
Virginia. You're from there, right?
Not a Jew.
Sorry, I didn't go to
from
the
there.
Jewish camp.
All right, well,
I'm sure it was amazing.
We've gone really long on this, but I've had a lot of experience of going away from home because even in my adult life as an actor, because I did a lot of like theater festivals and stuff where I'm gone for like 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. And I find it to be the case that there's this period where you are more, what I always like to say is I'm more there than here, and then at a certain point I'm more here than there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice.
Way to put it.
But as a kid, the biggest thing was I was an exchange student in Japan.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot.
Yeah, and that was really hard. Looking back on it, it was this amazing experience that I treasure and love. But at the time, I literally had a calendar that I marked off the days because I wanted to go home so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough.
How long
the
were you
first.
there?
Oh boy,
Like
2.5 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Wow, that was really. I feel like that was a great quote, and I feel like does Douglas Adams have a quote about that too?
Are you calling me a plagiarist?
No, I'm not, because what you
calling you a
said is so
quoterist.
true, and it's like every camp movie, like Meatballs or like Poison Ivy or whatever, like they all have the same formula, and it's so true. Where there's that period of time where you're upset and you're homesick and
And then you don't wanna
it
leave,
gets worse and it's like difficult, and then by the end you don't want to.
You don't wanna go home,
and
yeah.
it's everyone has that exact goddamn same experience.
It's true. It really happens.
With
Yeah.
everything in life, not I mean.
I know, it's like it's
Moving to another city.
Transensicles.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joel, so much for sending in that email. If you'd like to send an email, please feel free to do so. Send those emails to fans@totallyradshow.com.
Don't forget to attach a picture if you want your question talked about on the show. And go to totallyradshow. Oh, that's also where you send a background.
That's
Like,
right.
these cool backgrounds. We got this awesome Lego background.
Lego.
Oh, dude.
This is a virtual background, but I'd love to see like an actual Lego building of our.
Dude, I want to do this as a
Wouldn't that be
segment.
epic?
I'm serious.
Also, the forums are at totallyradshow.com. They are awesome, great people there. I'm hoping that we'll see lots of them in New York, where this have already
It
happened.
was amazing. They were there.
Also head over to the website, totallyradshow.com, to find out the movie that we're going to review ahead of time. Next week is, from Groundhog Day, watch out for that first step.
Oh, Ryerson?
It's a doozy.
Oh, it's a doozy.
Next week's a doozy. We got The Happening
Did not know where you're from.
and The Incredible Hulk.
We don't know how we're going to see or if we're going to see, so we can't really say what we're going to see.
But heads will be exploding
It
regardless.
literally will be exploding.
Also, myspace.com/totallyradshow.
And
That's
Twitter.
right. You can follow all of us, twitter.com/AlexAlbrecht.
/Jeff Canada.
/Dan Track. Danny TRS. /Danny TRS.
But /Steve TRS. Also, we want to say, head over to jinx.com/TRS to get cool shirts
We
and
hope.
hoodies.
They're sold out.
The shirts sold out in 2 days.
Woo!
2 days. So we're working on getting more shirts.
They're coming.
They will be coming. I didn't even get a chance to buy
And
mine.
while you're at it, give us your own design of a shirt@totallyradshow.com.
Yes.
We're gonna have this awesome contest where it's gonna be amazing. You're gonna be able to vote, and it's gonna be really cool. So
Also, the
give
one
us your
thing,
design.
before we leave, we also want to say, iFanboy, one of our favorite other comic book shows on Revision 3, got a chance to sit down with Stan Lee.
I got to be there, and Steve got to be there.
Yes.
And it was one of the most amazing.
We were not invited.
Yeah.
Well,
bros.
It's all right.
It was for
I
cool
get it.
people only.
I've met Stan before. We go way back.
One of the most incredible experiences of my life. I almost don't want people to watch it because I am literally a blithering idiot in his presence.
It's the best reason to watch.
Yeah, I am a complete moron standing there like hubba hubba. But the iFanboys are great and
Yes.
they do a great job.
You gave
So
a really
check it
good
out.
Dan impression.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Hallback.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Until next time, thanks for seeing us in New York.
No, don't do it. Come on.
Come on, Dan. We haven't even said any.
Come on, man. Just go with it. I'm laughing at the TV. We're laughing right now. We can't see you're crying at the TV.
Not just the premise to the Totally Rad.
Stop it. What are you doing?
I was peeing on my shirt at Ben the bar.
No, you said wet shirt don't break, not piss shirt. Fuck me. No, that's funny. No, you said wet shirt don't break, not piss shirt, Ben Bar.
That was
good.
That's a good one.
Oh, great way to fucking.
We'd use it.
All right, cool.